The Ogallala Aquifer is in massive danger of depletion. I would like to talk today about some of the things that we could do to help the water shortage. The eastern red cedar is invading the landscape and doing lots of things to suck up the water, not leaving enough room for the vast majority of plains that we're used to in the Great Plains area. So what do we do to help this? Well, there's several things that I think that could be done. The aquifers provide for so much of our water supply, and it provides us the fresh water that makes up for the surface water that we lost. So when the rainwater is lost from the drought, it depletes the lakes and the rivers and the reservoirs, and so we draw from those hidden spots like the aquifers. And even though the threat isn't visible, it's still there. And if we were to have a flood and all of the water would be sinking into the ground on a consistent basis, it still wouldn't give us enough water to replenish all the water that we've been using. Groundwater comes from the aquifers, and the sponge-like gravel and sand-filled reservoirs are all coming from springs and natural sources. So the California Central Valley has seen a big rise in well drilling for this year for the surface water loss from the droughts that they've experienced out there. And again, the Colorado Basin is where the Great Plains gets most of their water after they've suffered the severe depletions like they have. As we're going, I said the eastern red cedar is invading the landscape. What people thought was such a wonderful idea years ago when they put a windbreak on, planted a windbreak. It did just that. For the Dust Bowl era, it was great as far as keeping the dust intact and as best they could, and trying to help all their ground and their planted crops from washing or blowing away. They planted the eastern red cedars. Some people call them the Juniperus virginiana. I think I pronounced that right. And this problem is very pertinent in Oklahoma. This is a state where the threat of the economy and the human safety and the wildlife populations are really being challenged because all of these cedars are just taking over. So one little seed off of them will just keep spreading and spreading and spreading. And what happens is when they grow, they just suck up all the water in the nearby area, not leaving any for any other type of growth. We need to be making vast changes to be able to cure this problem, to help save as much of our natural resources of water that we possibly can. They even so much as have a Red Cedar Task Force that was formed in 2002 in Oklahoma. The Secretaries of Agriculture and Environment started to study the problems and started to make their recommendations, and just were flabbergasted because there was such a phenomenal problem that people once thought would be such a good thing to plant these green Christmas tree looking trees to block the wind and keep out some of the nasty wind barren problems that we face in the Midwest and on the Great Plains. But really, what has it been? What type of a cost has this gone to for the Oklahoma area and the Great Plains in general? The water shortage is, again, like I said, a very big problem. And so the biggest part that I was trying to do is to make people aware, and then to figure out steps to increase the productivity and as far as how do we help stop this water shortage, and then salvage what resources we do